On October 14th, 2023, YouTube star Logan Paul and MMA fighter Dillon Danis are set to go head-to-head in the world of boxing. The winner of the fight could walk away with a very hefty purse. But Dillon may have just created a situation where regardless of who wins the actual fight, Logan ends up winning either way. It has everything to do with Logan's fiancée, Nina Agdal, and her brand new lawsuit against Dillon for allegedly sharing explicit and private images of her both online and in the real world. This was all part of Dillon's concerted social media campaign targeting her with memes, insinuations, and jokes over the last month for her romantic history before dating Logan, which he says is all to drum up attention for the upcoming fight. But rest assured, this lawsuit is not about the memes, it's not about the jokes. This is about the act of sharing explicit and private images, and it is such an important topic for today's world. In my opinion, she has a very strong case, and in this video we are going to talk about why that is and why Dillon probably just created a lose-lose situation for himself. Let's get into it. So let's start by doing a little bit of context here to make sure that everyone is on the same page. But first, I have to thank this video sponsor, which is really important for today's topic of privacy. We live in a world that is increasingly rife with danger when it comes to our privacy, whether it is a bad actor on social media or some company looking to use it to profit. And that's why it's good to see that there are some companies out there that are working to help safeguard our online privacy, just like this video sponsor, Guardio. Guardio is a Chrome extension and mobile app that acts to combat new threats and create a highly secure environment by protecting your browser. You may not realize this, but your browser stores your most valuable information, from messages to banking information to passwords, addresses, and more. And there are instances where two-factor authentication may not be enough to fully protect you. The premium version of Guardio can protect your online browsing information, prevent you from installing malware and falling victim to scams, and give you real-time alerts when your information could be at risk. You can also protect 5 family members under a single account. I recently got the premium version and found all kinds of personal information data leaks, and now I am working to secure all of that information. It's scary, but it is good to know what's happening so that you can actually act to protect your accounts and prevent unauthorized access to your social media accounts, your bank accounts, all that kind of stuff. So if you want a clean and secure browsing experience, go to guard.io/legalbytes to get a 7-day free trial and check out their premium plan for full protection. The link is in the description below, and thank you again to Guardio for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's get back to the video. This really all starts with boxing. In recent years, you may have noticed the development of YouTuber boxing, social media influencers training for and going up against one another in new boxing matches. Most notable of these is Jake Paul, who's drawn admiration and criticism alike in his journey into the boxing world. If you're unfamiliar with any of this, I highly recommend you watch Untold, Jake Paul, the Problem Child on Netflix. It's a documentary going into the journey and the way in which he's really spearheaded the attempted acceptance of quote-unquote YouTube boxing by the old guard mainstream boxing world. Now, take this recommendation with a grain of salt, of course. This is a very Jake Paul friendly documentary, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were other perspectives on the same series of events that other people have that aren't as friendly to Jake Paul. I am fully aware that he has a long-standing reputation of being, for lack of a better term, a troublemaker, and there are plenty of people that hate him along with his brother Logan alike. But loving or hating Jake Paul isn't the reason why I brought that documentary up here. The reason is because I think it gives a pretty good explanation for at least a noob like me to understand how these boxing matches get set up and financed, and how a lot of the events around them sort of unfold. Boxing, it seems, is a very unique sport. It's not like the NBA or the MLB or the NFL, where the financing is done on a seasonal or multi-seasonal basis, and players know that once they sign a contract, they're going to be making a certain amount of money basically every year. In boxing, the boxer gets paid based on how much of a splash their boxing event makes. A crucial role in this is the promoter, who basically sells the fight to the public. And like anything else in life, whether it's social media content or selling a pen to a stranger,
sell me this pen.
Having a good story is very often what will draw people in. So boxing has villains and heroes and anti-heroes who will clash in these fights, but only after there's been some sort of building of drama between them that leads up to this actual fight. And the fight ends up serving as sort of like this climax for the drama. The greater the drama, the greater the attention to the match, and the more people will buy tickets to watch it, either in person or on some form of streaming or pay-per-view platform. And all of that translates to greater profits to everyone putting on the match, including the boxers. You might be starting to see why some influencers may be particularly drawn to this sport now, considering the fact that content creators are in the regular habit of making clickbaity titles and thumbnails. The job is literally about gaining attention from the public. So how does that relate here? Well, on August 8th, there was an announcement that Logan Paul would fight Dillon Danis in a boxing match in Manchester, England on October 14th, 2023. Logan, of course, is a mega social media star and actually known for being quite hated because of a lot of his antics over the years. I myself covered some of his dumb legal mistakes when he threatened to sue CoffeeZilla for outing his alleged scam crypto token, CryptoZoo.
We're going to handle this ourselves while we continue to build CryptoZoo, and I'll see you in court.
Dillon Danis, on the other hand, is a professional mixed martial artist with a ton of matches under his belt and with training under renowned UFC fighter Conor McGregor. Dillon has had his own share of controversies, including arrests for altercations with bouncers, accusations about performance enhancement drugs, and even his own alleged role in promoting cryptocurrencies and NFT scams. That last one was once again outed by CoffeeZilla, so he's apparently going around and doing God's work these days. Now, once this match was announced, the drama quickly began, with Dillon seemingly wanting to establish himself in a villain role for this particular fight. Particularly, he started targeting not just Logan Paul, but his fiancée, Nina Agdal. It started with sharing photos of the model with previous ex-boyfriends and other men in her past, and quickly amped up to basically constant posts about her sex life and the number of men she's been with through all kinds of jokes and memes. And in the meantime, he apparently saw his Twitter engagement explode. According to the complaint, his post impressions on X/Twitter have increased by more than 12,200% from the prior 4-week period. At a time when X has started to open up with revenue sharing for its top performing creators, this no doubt has generated a strong income for Dillon over the past month. But let's not forget the much bigger financial impact of this: ticket sales for the match. But again, like I said earlier, the part that Nina is suing over is not about the memes or the jokes or insinuations about her morality. Rather, she's suing him over the alleged sharing of explicit images that were private and intimate and very revealing of herself that she says were from a relationship that was over a decade ago. And she's also suing over the fact that he has openly threatened to share those images again further, as well as other images that he says are even worse. Here's what she alleges in the complaint. By August 11th, 2023, Danis had come into possession of that explicit photograph of plaintiff that depicted full frontal nudity. On that day, Danis posted the photograph, entirely uncensored, from his X account without plaintiff's consent. Later that day, Danis reposted the explicit photograph in order to maximize the number of views it would receive. At some point thereafter, Danis reluctantly deleted the post containing the photograph. Misfits Boxing, the promoter of Danis's fight with Paul, directed Danis to delete the post and threatened to cancel the fight unless he complied. By the time the post was deleted, it had been viewed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times, and had been saved and reshared an untold number of times. This is an important detail in situations like this, because when it comes to social media and its fast-paced viral nature, deleting the post does not eliminate liability. The damage is done by posting in the first place, and it's not erased by deleting. And that's something that is important for anyone using social media to understand. Okay, so that's the basic facts that you need to know to understand this lawsuit. So why do I think that this is such a strong case? Well, that's because when you have a good case, you draft a straightforward complaint that doesn't have any extra fluff in it, and you tie it directly to the law with good, strong receipts. And that's what we can find here in this complaint. So let's talk about the law that's involved here. There are 3 causes of action here, and they include both federal and New Jersey state law. Why New Jersey? Well, apparently Dillon is a resident of that state. The federal law in question is U.S. Code Section 6851, and the state law is New Jersey Statute Section 2A58D-1. Both of these are laws protecting against revenge porn, and they both basically require the same showing by the plaintiff. And the particular acts that Nina is suing over here are, first, Dillon's initial posting of the image, and then his repost, formerly known as a retweet, of that same image later that day. So basically, here's what she needs to show in order to win. First, she needs to show that Dillon Danis disclosed an image of Nina Agdal. Not someone else, not a doctored image of her, an actual image of her. Second, she has to show that that image was an intimate visual description. This means what we think it would mean. Images showing nudity, images showing someone engaged in a particular explicit act, anything like that. And what she's described in the complaint, in my opinion, very, very easily fits. Third, under the federal law specifically, she has to show that the disclosure affected interstate or foreign commerce somehow, and posting it to X very easily meets that particular requirement, considering the global nature of the platform. And finally, she has to show that the disclosure was made without her consent. Now, a lot of people in Dillon Danis' defense have been talking about how the material he's been posting is publicly available. First of all, based on the allegations of the complaint, Nina disputes that. But even if she didn't dispute that, regardless under this law, that doesn't matter. Under the explicit terms of the statute, she could have consented to the creation of the image, and it doesn't establish that she also consented to its distribution. And it further says that even if she did consent to both the creation of the image and the distribution in one particular circumstance, it doesn't mean that she consented to any further distribution outside of that particular limited consent prior. So in other words, let's say hypothetically Nina took a photo of herself and sent it to her boyfriend at the time. She says in this particular instance, the photo was taken of her without her consent initially, but let's just assume this for this particular hypothetical. In that particular case, she would have consented to the creation of the image and a limited distribution of that image. But the way that the statute is written, it protects her from the circumstance where, for example, they break up and then he gets really upset and decides to get revenge on her by distributing that image around further. That's literally the core target of what these laws are intended to achieve. So you simply cannot say that if she sent it to one person that she knew intimately well, that she ever intended for anyone else to ever see it. And note that that's not coming from me. That's not my personal opinion. That's just the way that this law is written. So if Dillon tries to say in his defense, oh, hey, these images were publicly available, I got them from someone, I don't know, I didn't do anything wrong to get this image, that's not going to be worth anything in the litigation. So what can she get if she wins? Well, one thing is a restraining order to prevent him from ever publishing intimate images of her again. And based on his behavior since finding out about the lawsuit, at the point of recording this video, this looks pretty damn likely that she's going to win this. Just a quick general life pro tip. If someone ever sues you for allegedly doing something, it's generally not a good idea to go on social media and say, F the system, I'm going to continue doing this thing, especially if you don't give any good reasons for it. Thanks to Dillon's response on social media, the day after she filed her complaint, Nina's legal team sent a letter to the judge requesting an immediate emergency temporary restraining order until they could schedule a hearing for a permanent one. TROs are generally really easy to get, and the language that Dillon uses in his tweets or posts on X about the litigation just heightens the emergency need to put one in place. But there's more than that. The federal statute says that she would be entitled to actual damages or liquidated damages in the amount of $150,000, as well as the cost of the action, including attorney's fees and other costs associated with the litigation for each violation. So that means the initial post and the repost. But let me explain something on damages. You'll notice I just said that she could get actual damages or liquidated damages. Liquidated damages is a term that most often comes up in contract law. It's basically a pre-agreed upon figure that both parties agree that one of them will pay the other if they ever breach the contract. Here, it's basically treated as a minimum that the plaintiff can claim because she can also choose instead to get actual damages. Actual damages are also known as compensatory damages. It's an amount that's designed to put the plaintiff back into the position she was in before she was harmed by the defendant. It's based on the proven harm, loss, or injury suffered by the plaintiff. So that means if she's losing social media value, if she's had brand representation and she's losing them as a result, if she's losing modeling gigs, these are all things that are going to factor into what her compensatory damages could be. And if those contracts are all worth a lot of money, that can add up very, very quickly. And at the same time, there's emotional distress. And undoubtedly, this is a massively, massively emotionally distressful situation. And as someone who has litigated cases on the plaintiff's side, adding those emotional damages can multiply any kind of monetary damages by several factors. So that's the damages under the federal law. What about under the New Jersey statute? That one allows her to take compensatory damages as well, but it also gives her room to take punitive damages. This is where she can basically take all of the compensatory damages based on income and emotional distress and maybe double or triple them based on the egregiousness of his actions. When it comes to punitive damages, we're really looking at how malicious this person was being, or what kind of other incentives that they had to do what they were doing and to continue doing what they were doing prior to this lawsuit, or how likely it is that the compensatory damages will be enough to prevent this behavior in the future. All told, punitive damages are intended to literally punish someone for doing something not just wrong under the law, but like really, really wrong. Like they knew the harm that they were causing to the other person and they did it anyway, kind of wrong. And here we have a mix of statements made by Dillon saying that he knew he could get in legal trouble, but screw it, I'll do it anyway, combined with financial incentives from his revenue sharing on X and from his profits generated from the match itself. All of that together means I can see how she can very readily get not just compensatory damages, but also hefty punitive damages here. And all of this could be worth millions of dollars. Now, I've seen people saying on social media that the joke is on Nina since Dillon doesn't have this kind of money, but that's not going to prevent her from being able to collect. After all, he is about to fight Logan Paul on October 14th, and based on the publicity getting drummed up, he could stand to earn a lot of money if he beats Logan. So imagine the irony that after working so hard to make all of this publicity for this fight and then training for the fight and then winning the fight against Logan Paul, imagine that at that moment, he's handed a huge check for winning and he's forced to turn right around and hand that check right over to Nina Agdal. Seriously, Dillon Danis just created a situation where that is entirely likely. And obviously, in that situation, that means Logan Paul basically wins either way. Honestly, I can't believe that I'm finding myself on the Logan Paul side of things kind of here because I have a lot of distaste for the guy, but there you go. If you want to see videos where I am equally criticizing Logan Paul for his dumb legal mistakes, there is a link in the description below to a couple videos with his scuffle with CoffeeZilla. But those are my thoughts. What do you think about this whole situation? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this or at least found it interesting or informative. And if you did, I would love it if you could hit the like button. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm gods. And if you're new here and you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can find out when the next video is uploaded. See you in the next video.